Today we're digging into a conflict that on the surface makes absolutely no sense. You've got a global superpower on one side, and on the other, a nation whose supreme leader was just assassinated and whose entire top military command has been wiped out. And yet, the war isn't over. In fact, it kind of feels like it's just getting started.
So let's just get right into this contradiction, because it's a big one. On paper, Iran should be done, finished. Its leadership is gone, its military is years behind technologically, but the reality on the ground, it's a completely different story. We're seeing widespread chaos, American forces taking constant fire, and the entire global economy is teetering on the brink.
Right, so the big question is how? How on earth is a nation that's been so crippled fighting back with such devastating effect? That's the puzzle we're going to try and solve together in this explainer. Okay, so to really get how this is possible, you've got to understand the sheer scale of Iran's response. This is not some limited symbolic strike. No way. This is all-out retaliation. And look, this isn't just one or two strikes. We're talking about a full-on regional assault happening all at once. The US naval base in Bahrain's been hit, civilian airports in Dubai, a UK base in Cyprus. There are even reports of a US aircraft carrier being attacked. The message they're sending is loud and clear. Nobody is safe. No US asset, no ally in the region. And the fight isn't just military. Oh no. They've gone for the world's economic jugular, the Strait of Hormuz. By hitting oil tankers and basically scaring off shipping, they've brought traffic to a near standstill. And the result? Oil prices shot up immediately, sending these massive shockwaves through the global economy. Of course, behind all the strategy and the numbers, there's a really devastating human cost. And while the headlines tend to focus on American or Allied casualties, the really tragic irony here is that the highest death toll, it's actually inside Iran itself. Reports are showing over 200 dead, and that includes a horrific bombing of a girls' school that killed more than 150. Just awful. But here's the thing, this isn't just random chaos. Not at all. This is a calculated, three-pronged strategy. It's designed to inflict the maximum amount of pain from every possible angle. So here's how they do it. First, they hit US military targets directly to make the war as costly as possible in American lives. Second, they choke that global oil supply to cause economic pain for everyone. And third, they hit civilian areas in allied countries, like the UAE, to create international pressure on the US to back off. So you see, they're hitting from every angle, military, economic, and diplomatic, all at the same time. Now this statement from Iran's foreign minister, it might just sound like bravado, right? Pure bluster, but it's not. That confidence is actually rooted in a very specific and pretty unconventional military doctrine they've been working on for almost 20 years. That confidence, it's all built on this doctrine they call the Mosaic defense. And this is the key. This is the core of how Iran can keep fighting so effectively, even after its central command in Tehran was completely taken out. It's called the Mosaic defense. And basically, picture Iran not as one big army, but as 31 separate little armies. Each of the country's provinces is like its own independent tile in a mosaic, and each one can keep fighting all on its own, without ever getting an order from the capital. So, think about it like this. The US and Israel successfully cut off the head of the snake in Tehran. But instead of the body dying, 31 smaller, angrier snakes suddenly sprang to life. Each local commander is now empowered to act on their own, launching strikes. So how do you stop a war by bombing a capital city that isn't even in charge anymore? You can't. But wait, it's not just a clever command structure. Iran also has this technological trick up its sleeve to get around America's single biggest advantage, its super high-tech missile defense shields. So Iran has one of the biggest and most varied ballistic missile arsenals in the entire Middle East. We're talking an estimated 2,500 of these things ready to go, and that's not even counting all their drones. A lot of these can easily reach any US base in the region. But here's the really brilliant part. Their true advantage isn't just having a ton of missiles. It's how they've turned what should be a weakness into a strength. See, they know they can't build missiles that are better than American defenses. So instead, they focused on building missiles that are smarter.
Okay, so check this out. A single missile is launched, but right before it hits the target, it explodes into a swarm of cheap, fake decoys. All of a sudden, a system like the Iron Dome doesn't see one threat coming in, it sees 20. It's forced to fire its very expensive interceptors at a bunch of fakes, and in all that chaos, the one real warhead slips right through and hits its target. It's genius.
So you add all this up, the massive retaliation, the Mosaic defense, those decoy swarms, and what you get is a complete and total miscalculation. The initial US and Israeli plan for a quick, decisive win has just completely unraveled.
I mean, the plan looked so simple on paper, right? A quick strike, take out the leadership, forces surrender. They figured the Iranian people would rise up and the war would be over in days. But the reality, it couldn't be more different. The war is spreading, that decentralized command is still fighting hard, and the attack seems to have triggered a rally around the flag effect. Basically, the population is unifying against the common enemy. It's strengthening the very regime the attack was meant to destroy.
And to make matters even worse, the whole reason for starting this war is starting to fall apart. The Pentagon has apparently told Congress that, actually, Iran wasn't planning an imminent attack. The International Atomic Energy Agency confirmed no nuclear sites were hit, which really weakens any WMD-style justification. So what was supposed to be a preemptive strike now looks to many people in the region like a straight-up, unprovoked assassination.
And then comes the most unbelievable twist of all. Reports are now coming out that the White House is actually looking for a ceasefire, but Tehran is saying no. From their point of view, any pause just gives the US time to rearm and get ready for round two. They seem to believe the only way to end this for good is to inflict so much pain that another war becomes unthinkable.
Which really leaves us with this one final and pretty provocative question. This whole war was launched to produce regime change in Iran, but as it spirals out of control into this costly, bloody, and questionable conflict, you have to wonder if the biggest political fallout won't be in Tehran, but in Washington. The question isn't just about how this war ends anymore. It's about whose leadership will actually survive it.